Hello, my name is Josh Atkinson, and you have once again stumbled upon my portrait painting YouTube channel with an occasional rose, but today we have a portrait. This is, and I may be mispronouncing her name, I believe it's Adud Akesh. That's what Google told me. She is a South Sudanese model. I don't know if there's a North Sudan. I'm from America. I don't know things. But anyway, this is one of my favorite that I've done. Might be my favorite in this series of expressive portraiture. And I'm going to be talking about the lighting situation on her today. And so yeah, let's just start the time lapse. So then this is the source image. And now for a time lapse. I'm starting with my limited understanding of the Andrew Loomis circle, just orienting the eyebrow or eye line. She looked like she was looking down a bit, so I've moved her southerly in the circle. You can see I'm already incorporating like violet tones in her skin color, um, because, well, because I saw them. Slash, well, I guess I see the colors and then I kind of exaggerate them. So So yeah, working with, dioxazine purples. I'm sure we've got some burnt sienna in there. Making my black out of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. But so anyway, here you can see I'm already addressing the big dilemma with this source photo, which is that there are competing light sources. You know, any portrait or still life tutorial on YouTube is going to wisely tell you to have a single strong light source to create contrast, like that is your friend. You have a clear body tone and body shadow area. But this woman was just so striking, and the light, while it was competing, it didn't feel like it was, I guess the film term is high key, I think, which just means that there's light everywhere. That is a nightmare to paint with because there are very faint shadows like under the jaw or under the brow ridge or wherever, but they're very, very faint, and you have to be, frankly, a better and more patient painter than myself to deal with them like effectively. With this image of Adu Akesh, um, there's, I guess you would say that the light on the right side of her face is more of sort of like a reflection of presumably some sort of lighting on. I'm assuming this is from like a runway show, and then the light hitting the left side of her face is more what we would consider the true light source. And this happens, I mean, it's actually not all that atypical. Like, if you light an apple or a human face, whatever, um, like the light, if you light it from the left, then the left side will be the lit side, the body tone. The right side will roll into a body shadow. But there will always be, I'm getting some good, what blue in there? That's, phthalo blue. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Anyway, but on the shadow side of the apple or the face or an egg is a great way to think about it. Um, there will be a reflection of the surface that it's resting on, if it's an object, or just whatever wall might be nearby, or in this case, it's, another light somewhere else in that room, and it's very bright. So that is on the shadow side of her face, but in painting terms, you'd kind of think of that as a reflection. Body tone is the lit part, body shadow is the shadows on the object. A cast shadow is the shadow cast by the object. And then the reflection, this borderline white light on the right side of her face, that's that's going to happen on basically anything. Like, unless you're painting with such contrast that like it just becomes like a void of blackness behind the person or the object, you're always going to have a little hint of a reflection. So again, the easiest thing to do is get an egg or like some white round, I don't know, ball or something, and just put it on a table, and you'll be able to like light it from one side. You will see on the underside the color of that surface of the table is going to inform the shadow tone. So you just call that a reflection. Anyway, that was a long explanation for, I guess, why I felt that even if the lighting was unideal with this source image, I felt that it was something that I probably could convey, you know? And it's helpful that the reflection is really, really bright. That is unusual. Typically, the reflection is not going to be lighter than the body tone. But that said, I haven't really done highlights yet. The highlights on this painting, which I don't remember. This is probably the third, maybe even fourth sitting that I worked on this painting at this point. The highlights, I'd like to wait a little far into the process so that they the paint's not dry underneath them, but it's tacky and it takes the paint that you're putting down. If it's still super wet, then you put down a highlight and it sort of blends into the body tone. And that's, I don't know. I see that a lot. I see a lot of, especially like alla prima painters, kind of just avoiding high contrast, but I don't dig that because that's not what things look like in real life. That's not what things look like in source images either. But the highlights, now that I am finally getting to do them, they are just my favorite thing about this painting. They might look pure white, but I promise you they're not. If her body tone is a sort of, you can't really call things like brown or gray or even white in painting. You have to identify as a color, and most human flesh would be somewhere on the spectrum of orange. So if her body tone flesh color is orange, then you have to create her highlight out of that color plus its complement, blue, and you need to add a little tiny, just tiny, imperceptible, almost imperceptible degree of that complementary color into the highlights. So these highlights may look white, but that's because I've added blue into them, and it's within the context of being on the orange flesh tone, they are creating harmony. And so your eye just sees it as, I guess, white. But anyway, so that's my rundown. I love how loose these highlights are. I just think they look glorious. I'm so into it. Is that vain? It's my painting. Anyway, so this is the final painting. It is a 5 by 7 inch oil painting on a canvas panel. So then, yes, this is how we arrived at this portrait of Adud Akesh. Again, probably mispronouncing her name, but it was risky, but it turned out possibly it might be my favorite. I love the violet tones. I love the streakiness of the highlights that feels totally normal when you have some distance from it. Physical distance, I mean. But yeah, I just love the way that this turned out. I wanted to say thank you. I hit 114 subscribers, which is really cool, this past week. So yeah, I guess that's about everything. I will see you in 7 days with another portrait. And if you enjoyed this video about lighting, you might enjoy my previous video that dealt with foreshortening. All right, see you later.